Okay, this is our fourth lecture on population of India, and this way, after this lecture we will be completing half of this course. Out of 40 courses, like 40 lectures, we will be completing 20 lectures today. So this is a special day. I have not made many slides for today's lecture because this is the fourth lecture and last lecture on population of India. So I thought that it will be better if we make it more interactive. So I would like to answer your questions. Maybe to answer your question, sometime I may not have the requisite data right now, but at least qualitatively I can answer your question. Two things on which I will focus in slides today are: first, greater uncertainties about the future, and second, migration. Migration is something which I have not discussed so far. All the time I was talking of size, growth rate, fertility and mortality. There is a need to talk about migration also. Future of India's population perhaps will depend more on migration than on fertility and mortality processes. So, with that thing in mind, and let me go to the next slide. Projections. And the meaning of projection is assessment of the future based on certain assumptions. There are several terms used in this context: projections, predictions, forecasts. Now, projections are assessment based on any kind of assumption. So, projections are associated with assumption. So, you say that assuming this, I project. Assuming that the birth rate of India will remain constant, I project that population of India will be this. You can make one projection or you can make several projections depending on different assumptions. The difference between projection and prediction would be that when you say that something is more likely to happen, or projections based on those assumptions which are more likely. Like you can make any assumption, you can say that mortality will not change and you can calculate projections. You can assume that death rate will be reduced by half and you can make projections. But both the things, constancy of death rate or halving of death rate, are not equally likely. So, you can say that this assumption is more likely and therefore, a certain set of projection or projections is more likely to happen. That becomes your prediction. And among predictions also, when you place particular confidence in one particular series of projections, then they become forecasts. So, projections are based on assumptions, and those assumptions which are more likely to come true produce predictions. Now, it is almost impossible to predict the future population with great accuracy. Our projections have never come true. We have been projecting India's population right from the beginning. In some context, I was reading the first 5-year plan last week, and in the first 5-year plan, the projection was that India. Several times projections have been made by experts, planning commission and different government departments, state departments, and they have never come true. Registrar General India makes projections. Projections never come true because it is not possible for us to predict the future course of events very accurately. Our assessment of at what rate family planning practices will improve, or death rate will decline, or international migration will go up or down, or will remain same. There are lots of uncertainties about them. Population projections require an exact understanding of the present day processes and an intelligent understanding of future possibilities. In the past, we were erring on both the accounts. In the past, we did not have exact understanding of contemporary processes, and we also made mistakes regarding assuming India's future with respect to fertility, family planning, international migration, etc. Now, could somebody, like in Africa, where today HIV affects nearly 20% in some countries, could someone 20 years back predict that after 20 years in Africa, of all the adults, 20% would be HIV positive? No one can. So, how can we say today whether there will be no tsunami in next 10 years, next 20 years, no earthquake, no droughts, no abnormal, no epidemics, no war. But still, assuming that things will remain normal for planning and policy making purposes, we do need projections. United Nations estimates show that by the year, so we are not sure, we cannot be sure what will happen in the future still for planning purposes, assuming that the present trends are a reasonable guide to what is going to happen in the future. In United Nations estimates show, they have estimated population of all countries of the world and projected them up to 2050. In 2050, India will be the most populous country of the world, and its population will be larger than that of China, and this will affect international relations as well as India's place in globalization. India would be, demographically speaking, the largest country of the world in 2050, but it is a projection. We can never be sure. How can we say that there will be no epidemic from now between 2010 and 2050? How can we say that birth rate will not increase or decrease beyond the assumptions made by United Nations? There are two quotes. This is from R.H. Casson from Institute of Development Studies, Sussex. In 1978, he wrote a book, India, Population, Economy and Society. This quote is from there. That people who make dire predictions about the ecological future do so out of genuine concern. Others seem to be doing no more than cashing in on the public's seemingly inexhaustible appetite for nightmares. Malthus, whom we call doomsday philosopher, was perhaps one who cashed on the public's inexhaustible appetite for nightmares by saying that population will grow in geometric fashion, food can at most grow in arithmetic progression, and therefore there will be positive checks on population. There are opposing no problem or the market will adjust schools whose optimism cannot be shared either. It is more honest to admit that we do not know what the future holds, that it will be good or bad depending on some things that are within human control and others that are not. There are things which are within human control, like population policy is within human control, within the control of state to declare incentives for sterilization. It is within the control of government to provide incentive for taking a woman to a health facility for delivery. We are doing this Janani Suraksha Yojana, or it is in our hands to provide vaccination to almost all children. Theoretically, we can assume we can provide vaccination facilities to all, but there are many things which are not within our control. Nowadays, like spread of dengue or swine flu, this is not completely in our control, and we do not know what alarming proportions some such virus can take in the future. The business of the academic observer is to point to the areas where action is most needed. That is why we need projections, not because we want to say that by using some mathematical magic we can know the future, but because by making projections we can identify areas of action, that if you take action then these are the consequences. So, projections are needed for working out the consequences of different strategies of development, and this is one of our self confessed aims, to create a climate of opinion for balanced judgment about future development. I found this paragraph quite interesting on projections, so I thought let me share it with you. This is another quotation from Tim Dyson. Tim Dyson is from London School of Economics, and on future population. He has also worked extensively on India's population. He has an interesting thing to say, to quote, "It seems extremely unlikely that the country's population will not exceed 1.5 billion at some time in the coming decades." Today we are around 1.2 billion. So, he says it seems extremely unlikely that the country's population will not exceed 1.5 billion. Means we can almost be sure that population of India sometime would be more than 1.5 billion. Indeed, a figure of about 1.6 billion seems fairly likely, and while it is unlikely, even a figure approaching 1.7 billion cannot be ruled out. In 1975, when Dr. Karan Singh, the then health minister, was drafting a statement of the first population policy, at that time he said that population of India has reached alarming proportion, and he could just not imagine. People were saying that if you do not take action right now, then the population of India can reach 1 billion, and reaching 1 billion was something unimaginable to handle. Handling 1 billion people in India was something unimaginable from the standards of those days, but we have already crossed 1 billion. So, who knows, even a figure approaching 1.7 billion cannot be ruled out. Personally, I feel that a figure just short of 1.6 billion is most probable, and in this context it is worth noting that Natarajan and Jayachandran's projection. Natarajan was associated with Registrar General's office, which also extend to the year 2051, yield a figure of 1.646 billion. Moreover, the latest UN medium variant, United Nations make several projections and call them high, medium, low. That high means that this is the upper limit of projections, population will not cross those numbers on the higher side. Low means that population will be at least this much, and there is medium variant, the best guess. So, according to United Nations medium variant means the best guess, projection puts the total population of India at 1.572 billion in 2050. So, roughly 1.6. The corresponding population figure for China then is only 1.46. So, roughly speaking, in 2050, India will be the first country of the world in terms of population, and its population can be 1.6. China will be next, and China's population may be 1.5 or slightly less. Right now, China has less numbers, but right now China's population size is more, but because their fertility has gone below the replacement level, so growth potential of China's population is less. Yes.
Sir, do they want to say that our population will reach a saturation point and will not increase beyond it?
Yeah, yes, the idea is to say something like that, that we will continue to grow. Behind this growth, our growth is a result of fertility and mortality. So, mortality would have declined to perhaps the lowest possible level. Once we reach a death rate of say 5, it will be almost impossible to reduce it further. Fertility can be reduced further, and we do not know to what low level it can go, like in Europe it has gone to below replacement level. Maybe who knows, in India also sometime in the future, 20 years from now or 30 years from now, our total fertility rate goes down to 1.5. It is unlikely, but it can happen. The main thing is that as a result of all these things, at some point population of India will saturate. What is that point of saturation? So, this expert or United Nations medium variant projections show that perhaps that saturation point will reach at 1.6 or maybe 1.7, as Casson says, maybe 1.7. So, somewhere around 1.6, 1.7 the population of India will stop growing. So, this is the future population. Now, migration, we have not talked about migration at all. Let me spend some time on migration. Research on migration is much less than research on fertility and mortality. Ideally speaking, as you have vital registration system for fertility and mortality, birth rate and death rate, and SRS also for them now, you must have population registers in which movement of people from one place to another within the country, from one district to another, one city to another, is constantly recorded. Developed countries have that provision. They maintain population registers, and any movement of people from one place to another place within the country is recorded. We do not have such a system. You can freely move from one part of the country to another, and you do not have to report anywhere. We do not have that population register system. So, the major source of migration in India is census. Sometime National Sample Survey has also collected data on migration, but major source of data on all India basis is census, population census of India. In population census of India, there are some questions which pertain to migration directly. One is place of birth. So, for all individuals, in all individual slips, we have a question on place of birth, and based on that we know where all these people, 1 billion people of India recorded in 2001 census were born. And for birth we ask state, district and urban and rural areas. So, we know place of birth. We also have a question on place of last residence, means were you living somewhere else earlier? What is that place? Place of last residence. And we have a question on duration of residence. How long have you been living at this place where you are enumerated? And region or cause of migration. Among them, place of birth has been used for assessment of migration trends more frequently. There are some problems with place of birth data, but still, and surprisingly, the pattern of migration that emerges from place of birth is very similar to what emerges from place of last residence. So, for all practical purposes, both these questions give us a good idea of what is happening to migration. Based on place of birth data, you can classify the whole population of the country into two categories, migrants and non-migrants. All those people for whom place of birth is same as place of enumeration are non-migrants. At the time of census, if you are enumerated in Kanpur and you are born in Kanpur, then you are a non-migrant. And if your place of birth is different from place of enumeration, then you are a migrant. There are problems like it cannot take care of return migrants. Suppose you are born in Kanpur, but for education or for job you have gone to Kerala and now you have come back, or in old age you have come back. So, your place of enumeration and place of birth, both place of enumeration today and place of birth are Kanpur, but you are actually not a non-migrant. In between, for education or for job, you went to Kerala. So, that is a defect in place of birth data, but you have some merits, some demerits in all questions dealing with migration. I have brought some data from 2001 census which classifies population into migrants and non-migrants based on place of birth data. Now, on the basis of place of birth, you can find out what is the total number of migrants. You can find out regarding international migration how many people have come to India from outside. Those who are living in India and they have come from somewhere else, you know information about them, but you cannot know how many Indians have left India. You are before you are only those whom you are enumerating today, those who are very much present in India, but if there are some people who left India for some other countries, we do not have information about them from Indian census. Censuses of those countries where they have gone will have information about them. So, US census will tell how many US citizens are of Indian origin, and if we can compile all those data from all major countries which are destinations of Indian migrants, we can know a tentative estimate. Now, in India as a whole, the figures show that international migration, we cannot know completely number of in-migrants out. In-migrants we can, immigrants we can know, but emigrants we cannot know. Now, internal migration within the country, this can also be divided into 4 parts. Intra-district, people moving within the district from one village to another village, or village to town in the same district, or intra-district, one district to another district in the same state. Then there are interstate migrants who move from one state to another, and from abroad, international. And normally we will assume that interstate migrants have travelled longer distances than inter-district migrants, and inter-district migrants have travelled longer distances than intra-district migrants. Though this is not true for all the migrants. Sometimes somebody moves from one village of a state to another village of the neighboring state, which may be situated only say 10 kilometers. And in a state like UP, somebody moves within the state and moves say more than 200, 300 kilometers. So, this is not true for all the migrants, but overall one can say, considering all migrants, that interstate migrants have travelled the longest distance, intra-district the shortest distance, and inter-district are in between. And according to 2001 census, 181.7 million people have travelled intra-district, 76.8 inter-district, and 42.3 interstate, which sort of proves a law of migration about which I mentioned when I was talking about migration model, that most migrants have a tendency to move shorter distances. So, intra-district is maximum 181.7, inter-district in between 76.8 million, and inter-district 42.3. There are 6.1 million people, means 61 lakh people who are enumerated in India, but whose place of birth is some other country. Actually, this number is constantly declining over the years, over censuses this number is declining. Majority of these migrants were those who came to India at the time of partition, from today's Pakistan or Bangladesh, some from Burma, and as time is passing, these people have already become old and they have started dying. So, every census gives us a declining number of immigrants on the basis of birthplace data in census. Now, some of these people move from rural to rural areas, some rural to urban. This kind of classification is important for sociologists, because we want to know what are basically the causes of migration, and sociologists are particularly interested in this rural to urban migration when they say that migration and economic development or migration and urbanization are correlated, that migration is caused by pull factors in urban areas or industries or developed places provide more job opportunities, better wage rates, better employment, better salary and perks and other benefits, better education facilities, health facilities, and therefore, rural people are moving, or they want to move. They have a desire to move towards urban areas, and whenever they can afford to find a job or meet the cost of migration, or they have some acquaintance in urban areas, place of destination through whom they can fit in the new urban market, they will move. In case of India, for the time being, rural to rural migration consists of majority of migrants. 53.3 million people move rural to rural areas. Rural to urban is only 20.5 million, urban to rural is 6.2 million, and urban to urban is 14.3. By combining these categories, I can say that 59.5 people have rural destination. They may have moved from rural areas, or they may have moved from urban areas. There are some people, 6.2 million, who are moving from urban areas to rural areas. In total, 59.5 million people have rural destination. They have gone to some rural place, either from rural place itself or from urban place. 34.8 million people have migrated towards urban areas. 73.8% people have migrated from rural areas, and 20.5% have migrated from urban areas. Now, since our percentage urban in 1971, our percentage urban in 2001 was around 24%, I suppose. So, if 20% people have migrated from urban areas and 73% from rural areas, then roughly speaking, you can say that both urban and rural populations have become migratory. There is some difference, perhaps rural populations are more migratory than urban population, but both rural and urban areas are becoming migratory.
Sir, what could be the reason for an urban to rural migration?
Urban to rural migration, you see, this migration in India, these figures can normally when we talk of migration, we think that migration is induced by economic reasons. But in these millions of figures, there are various kinds of migration, and a majority of them are women who are who become migrant because they move to in-laws place. We practice, we have a patrifocal society. So, after marriage they move to their husband's place. That means there are many women who have migrated from small towns to rural, by areas which by definition are rural, to those rural areas because of marriage. Then sometime some urban people are moving to rural areas because in those rural areas some developmental activities or infrastructural activities, road construction, some new industry, small scale, big scale industry, some new industrial township is coming. Or there are some people who work in urban areas, but they maintain relationship with their native village, and after retirement they move to their native place. So, there are various reasons why some people migrate from urban to rural areas.
The rural to rural migration is around, I think, 53.3%. Usually we assume that there is a positive relationship between migration and employment or some economic development. Or
rural to rural is 53.3 millions, yes.
Around 53.
Yes.
Usually we assume that there is a positive relationship between migration and employment or migration and economic.
Yes.
But here the reason why?
Actually, what is happening is that in our country there is widespread rural poverty. According to Planning Commission estimates, roughly 27% population of India is poor, 28% in rural areas and a similar percent in slightly less in urban areas. and this percentage of poor people is not equally distributed in all geographical regions. And there are more poor people in semi-arid zones of say Rajasthan, in tribal areas of Jharkhand, Odisha, Madhya Pradesh, and although scheduled tribes have a possession of somewhat higher quantity of land, but the quality of land or the productivity of land is very poor. They have to migrate in search of employment. Not all of them can find employment in industries in Surat or Mumbai or in Delhi. They migrate to rural areas in other states wherever seasonal employment can be found. So, there are many people who move from rural to rural areas because there is no agricultural work, there is no wage work in their own village, and for at least for certain number of months during crop cutting season or harvesting season, they have to move to some other rural area. So, when census is conducted say in the month of February or March, this much number of people in rural areas with a separate place of birth, some other rural area is found. It is mostly seasonal, rural to rural is mostly seasonal without disconnecting themselves from their native place for certain number of months in a year, seasonal, we call it seasonal, for certain number of months in a year for crop cutting or harvesting, they go to. There are a lot of such people who go from say eastern UP to Punjab or Haryana. There are people who go to Jammu and Kashmir, and there is lot of such migration, rural to rural, lot of rural to rural migration within state. So, if condition in neighboring states is better, then they will go there. Now, internal migration is likely to become a burning issue in the future. Mortality has declined and it will decline further, maybe by a few points. Fertility decline is also certain. It is a different matter what is the rate at which fertility will decline in the future, how early we can reach the replacement level, but fertility is also declining. The most uncertain element of population dynamics is migration. Gradually population will stabilize, nobody is doubting that population will not stabilize, but migration will become a major issue. Indian population has become mobile. As per the Registrar General India, out of 1.02 billion people in the country in 2001, 307 million or 30% were reported as migrants. This is a big percentage, 1 in 3. Normally, we think that Indian people are traditional, sedentary, they do not move, but the figures show that 30% of India's population consists of migrants on the basis of place of birth data. You arrive at similar figure on the basis of place of last residence also. 1 in 3 is a migrant. During 91 to 2001, this percentage increased from 27.4 to 30. That means, population of India is becoming more mobile. It is possible that in 2011 census you will find a much higher figure than 30. Some because of pull factors of opportunities elsewhere, and some because of push factors. In years to come, perhaps climate change, fall in water table in agricultural areas, rural areas, and environmental problems can become a major factor in migration to other places. That there has been a steady increase in the number of migrants in the country. Whereas in 1961 there were about 144 million migrants by place of birth. In 2001 it was 307. So, number of migrants almost doubled, more than doubled in 40 years time. with time migration is going to become a burning issue with ethnic conflicts between migrants and natives. Already there is son of soil problem everywhere. It is already there in Mumbai, MNS, and there are linguistic issues, there are political issues, and in northeast, even in some central states, some North Indian states, ministers have been found saying that we will not give employment to people belonging to other states. We will first give employment. Some years ago, nobody could believe that a minister from Madhya Pradesh will make such a statement. But these statements have started coming, and once this regionalism and this nativism starts in some states, it is bound to spread to other places. Recently, I read something about this kind of thing in Tamil Nadu, that in Tamil Nadu they are saying that preference will, in jobs preference will be given to Tamils. So, this all depends on employment situation. Of course, it depends on employment situation. If you need migrants, or if there are positions which you are not ready to fill, your people are not ready to fill, and you need migrants for them, you will welcome migrants. Developed countries, why do they welcome migrants or professionals? Because they need professionals. Similarly, in many rural areas in Punjab and Haryana, because they themselves do not want to work as agricultural laborers, so they welcome migrants from UP and Bihar. So, this depends on employment situation, political stability, degree of inequality, environmental situation, and many other unforeseen factors. Let us have some more data on migration on the basis of place of birth question. These are the figures of migrants. Total population of India was 1028 millions. Of them, 1022 were born in India, 721 million were born in the place of enumeration. They are non-migrants. 721 million were born at a place where they were counted in the census. So, they are non-migrants. 441 million males and 279 million females were non-migrants. Why females are less non-migrants? Because of marriage. We practice caste endogamy and village exogamy. So, marriage makes almost all married women migrants in India due to caste endogamy and village exogamy. After marriage, most except maybe in some isolated tribal areas where they also marry within the village, otherwise women become migrants. So, number of non-migrants means those born in the place of enumeration is much less among females than among males. Total migrants is 307. Male migrants are 90. Usually when you talk of migration due to industrialization, urbanization, etc., you have this figure in mind, males. You do not have marriage migrants, women who are mostly marriage migrants. Okay. Born within the state of enumeration, there are two types: born elsewhere in the district of enumeration and born in other districts of the state. Their numbers are 181 elsewhere in the district and 6.8 million in other districts of the state. Then there are 42 million who are born in other states beyond the state of enumeration. Among them you find that those born in other states beyond the state of enumeration, among them males are. So, as you can see that most people travel short distances. We have in all 307 million migrants in the country based on place of birth data and 2001 census. of them 90 million are males and 216 million females. And as I said, the major reason is our sociological practice of village exogamy and caste endogamy. Then these are the figures of those born elsewhere in the district of enumeration, and their number is 181. Born in other districts of the state is 76 million. Born in other states is 42. Among them you find that males are more than females. That is because again there is a famous law of migration that females have a preference for shorter migration, shorter distance. Males travel longer distances as compared to females, and that is mainly because of that maybe males can take more risk, or in case of India, male migration is more induced by economic reasons. State-wise details show that 1991 population, number of net in-migrants migration, on the basis of place of birth data, using some appropriate analytical methods, we can also calculate net migration rate between two census dates like 1991 and 2001. During this 10-year time, what was the migration rate for different states? When we do this, we find that Bihar and Uttar Pradesh are two most out migrating states in India. That does not mean that they do not receive migrants. They receive migrants, they also send migrants. They send more migrants than the number of migrants they receive, and so they are net out migrants. And Daman and Diu, Dadar and Nagar, Chandigarh and Delhi, these are most in migrating union territories or states. This is the table. The font is so small, maybe you can't see this properly, but whenever migration rates are written in parenthesis, that is out migration, that the state is more out migratory. And among the out migratory states are Andhra Pradesh, Assam, Bihar, then Chhattisgarh, Jammu and Kashmir, Jharkhand, Kerala. Kerala is also out migrating, and Manipur, Odisha is out migrating, Rajasthan is out migrating, and Tamil Nadu. But Uttar Pradesh, with net out migration rate of 2% and Bihar with 2.7% are the most out migrating states of India. That is why all the time whenever migrants are being attacked, you learn about Biharis being under attack, because most of the migrants in cities like Mumbai or Delhi, they are from Bihar or Odisha or Chhattisgarh, these states. So whenever people fear that these migrants are coming and taking away our jobs, then immediately Biharis become the center of attack. And at several places people cannot distinguish between Biharis and UP walas. Both these states are net and highly out migrating states. I also have some data on reason for migration, and if you look at the regions, these are the numbers, total number of migrants with duration 0 to 9 years, means those who moved between 1991 and 2001. Those people who moved during the last or the preceding decade in 2001, means between 1991 and 2001, census had a close ended question for that the reason for migration could be work or employment, business, education, marriage, moved after birth, moved with households, and other regions. You find that 14.7% there is region for migration, the region for migration work or employment is 3.0. There must have been some error in census. I have just reproduced the census table from 2001 report. One thing is clear that majority of migrants, 43.8% of all the migrants are moving for work, employment, 43.8 plus 3, 40. The region for migration, this is total migrants, 100. Work, employment should be this, business, education, marriage, moved after, moved with households and others. This should be the case. There is some error in copying the table. So, you find that 43.8% of all the migrants are those who moved because of marriage reasons. This is marriage. This is marriage. In marriage migration, 64.9% of all the migrants among women are due to marriage. So, as much as 65% of all the migrants among women move for reasons related to marriage. Among men, only 2.1% move for reasons related to marriage. For work and employment, only 3, and in marriage migration, 64.9% of all the migrants among women are due to marriage. So, as much as 65% of all the migrants among women move for reasons related to marriage. Among men, only 2.1% move for reasons related to marriage. For work and employment, only 3% of migrants among women move for reasons related to work and employment, but 37.6% of all the migrants among men move for reasons related to work and employment. Thus, among males, the major reason for migration is work or employment. 2.9% move for business, 6.2% move for education. Among women, most 65% move for marriage, 3% for work, 0.3% for business and 1.3% for education. So, even education is not so important for women in terms of statistics of migration. In statistics of migration, the majority of women move for reasons related to marriage, but among men it is work, employment, business, work, employment, business, then education, and marriage region constitutes only a minor factor. 2.1% of all the migrants move for this region. So, from this discussion of India's population, we can come to following conclusions. It appears that demographically speaking, in the future India will experience hyper differentiation, a term used in postmodern literature for extreme differentiation leading to de-differentiation or new forms of integration, uncertain and unpredictable at the moment. While some states will be moving towards lower death and birth rates as predicted by classical demographic transition theory, others will be experiencing a second demographic transition, and in some there will be a demand, at least a demand for the third transition leading to higher fertility. Means all states are moving towards lower birth and lower death rates. There will be some states, second demographic transition means that there will be some states where birth rates will continue to decline even after reaching the below replacement level. But this third transition means that after reaching a very low level of fertility, say a total fertility of 1.2, 1.3, there may be a demand. Kerala reached below replacement fertility first. Now, in the future it is a possibility, a real possibility that religious communities or civil societies or in society at large may start demanding that we must do something to raise our fertility levels, that otherwise population of Kerala can be just can deplete further or can be overpowered by population of other states of India. Some such feeling may grow, and there may be a demand for raising fertility levels as it is happening in some of the developed countries, and the fertility level may respond to that. Maybe religious organizations can ask women to produce some more children or something. Another there will be more of poor and rich divide. Our government documents show that poor and rich divide between classes, between castes, urban and rural, agriculture and industry, all kinds of divides have widened. And then within each state there will be high and low fertility districts. The problem will not be confined to states only. Within each state, high fertility, low fertility states, there will be further divisions. Some districts will have high fertility, some will have low, and similarly within the districts there may be high fertility blocks, low fertility blocks, and within blocks high and low fertility social classes, general, SC, ST, OBC, minorities. Then within classes again there will be fragmentation due to westernization, individualization and women's education, and urban rural differences are likely to continue. Then migration will however become a more important issue than fertility and family planning. There are two types of migrants, international and national. Internal, in terms of statistics, international migration will remain small as compared to population of India, but its impact on economy, culture and state level policy may be substantial. There will be rapid migration from population surplus areas like Bihar and UP to resource surplus areas, often leading to violent conflicts at the place of destination. There will also be more migration caused by new development projects, climate change, environmental risk, political and ethnic reasons, and new economic policies. There are forces of globalization and localization. All this would make the future more uncertain and less amenable to understanding in old sociological terms. I thought I will stop here. I think after attending these lectures, you should be able to answer some of these questions. I can also show some some books, and there is census. Anybody interested in population of India must sometime refer to census. Kingsley Davis, The Population of India and Pakistan, the most classic book, and I think now at the end I would like to entertain a few questions.
Sir, as you concluded that population from surplus, like places where there are resources are in surplus, people would be moving in. So, in migration would be taking place, which might lead to conflict in those areas. On a positive note, do you think this could lead to amalgamation of cultures, acculturation taking place? What do you think about this?
Yeah, ideally,
though it may give rise to regionalism and son of soil
our
problems.
our goal has been to create a mixed culture. We are a plural society, democratic, liberal society, and mixing is our goal. We want a city or a town or a village in which people belonging to all castes and communities, castes and communities, and at the state level maybe linguistic groups live together peacefully, and there is an equilibrium and there are no socio-economic disparities among them. But what is happening that because the number of poor people has not declined, the gap between urban and rural areas has not declined, and good quality employment has not expanded. Our planning commission documents show that in the 10th 5-year plan period, good quality job means formal employment in organized sector has declined. So, when the opportunities are limited and there is competition for them, so sometimes this issue of son of soil or native versus migrants can be raised by politicians uh, to catch on or to catch on the insecurity that the localites are having when lot of people from outside are coming. At one time, one of the cities, largest cities of the country, Mumbai, is facing this ethnic conflict now, and the divide between natives and outsiders, particularly North Indians, is very much clear there. But this has not always been the case. Earlier, more than 30% population of Mumbai consisted of migrants and their descendants from UP and Bihar, and there was no problem. Even in the early days of Shiv Sena, there was attack on South Indians, but nobody imagined that a time will come when there will be conflict between Mumbai cars and North Indians. So, when there is more migration and there are more insecure, when there is lack of employment and there are insecurities among the localites, then there is a possibility of rise of conflict on ethnic basis.
But I think it's more a political issue, because in Mumbai, many of the corporations, these migrant laborers from North India and South India are determining the politics of that, especially in some areas, Thane, Pune and Mumbai, some corporations. That's why I think it's a political issue. Although even though say that it is because related with the employment issue, but it is a political issue. But these are
The evidence.
So, you can say that there is an issue.
Okay.
Yeah? Poverty, unemployment, disparities, these are issues, these are real issues, nobody can deny. But then politicians can cash on these issues, and maybe in order to divert their attention from the structural issues, they raise the issue of ethnic identity or migration.
So I have doubts regarding the first session, that is population projection. The population projection, UN predict that by 2050, India's population will be 1.572 billion. At the time, China's population is 1.462 billion. Now that in 2001, in India's population is 1.2 billion. China's is around 122. This is around 20 crore difference. India already started a lot of family planning program, population, a lot of program. The last census also show that for the first time in the first decadal census, the population growth is less than 2, I think 1.5 something. So I think this prediction, this Indian is not taking into account the already a lot of family planning program and population stabilization program introduced by India. So within 40, now it's 2010. It is around 2050. It means that 40 years. 40, I think 40 years India will advance in a very, very high position, because already introduced a lot of family planning and population stabilization program.
Actually, what happened that maybe 40-50 years ago, China and India were in similar position with regard to fertility and mortality.
Okay.
And you are right that 40 years from now, maybe again, the fertility level of India will be as low as the fertility level of China. But India is a democratic country. We started family planning program first, in China, Mao and these people were saying that the idea of family planning program is a bourgeois idea. They even closed down all the demography and population departments, and a demographer was believed to be some kind of capitalist. So they attacked demographers. But a time came when they realized that it is important for their policy to succeed that their population is controlled. Since they are more of an authoritarian kind of society, so it was easy for them to implement one child policy. It was not easy for us. Our family planning program started first, but we are still having a total fertility rate of more than 2.5. Their fertility rate has come down to 1 point something. And when fertility rates, total fertility rates decline, they show some impact on birth rate after a long period of time due to population momentum. Even if India achieves a total fertility rate of China's level today, India's population will continue to grow because of younger age structure and population momentum, inbuilt mechanism. And due to this age structure differences between India and China, India's population will continue to grow for longer period than China's population. So, due to two reasons, one that India's total fertility rate is almost double the total fertility rate of India, and second, India's age distribution is much younger. India has the youngest age distribution of the world. India's age distribution is much younger than the age distribution of China. Therefore, India will take much longer time to stabilize than China. So, because of these two effects, in 2050, India's population would be larger than that of China.